Department 2 of the Superior Court is now in session. Judge Aarsen is proceeding. Please be seated.
Call to order the case of Marilyn versus Celine Kirsch. Are both sides ready?
Ready, Your Honor.
We're ready, Your Honor.
Let's begin with the opening statements. Prosecutor?
On February 22nd, Annabelle Stevens was found viciously murdered on the stage of her high school. The cause of death was determined to be the agonizing stab wound to her spinal column. As we will show you, her tragic passing could have only been the horrible plot of the girl in possession of the murder weapon.
The defendant may present their case.
As we will show you, there is no proof beyond a reasonable doubt that my client has anything to do with the conditions surrounding the victim's death. We will present you with evidence and witnesses that will refute the prosecutor's claims.
The prosecution may call their first witness.
The people call Elizabeth Stevens, sister of the victim. I do. Can you describe the relationship Annabelle Stevens had with the other kids at school? Everyone, liked her. She was pretty and popular and driven to be the best at absolutely everything. The other kids saw her as perfect because that's what she wanted them to see. Is it true that your sister was a gifted dancer? That she won many awards and was even favored to receive a scholarship if she won at her next competition?
Action.
Yes. It seems like Annabelle was poised to have it all, Your Honor. The prosecution rests.
The defense team may cross-examine the witness.
Can you describe your own relationship with your sister? Action.
We didn't get along. We fought all the time. She hated me. I never did anything to her, but she was perfect. So in her eyes, I was just the family disappointment. Not good enough for Mom and Dad, and certainly not good enough for her.
Have you ever expressed your feelings towards your sister to anyone?
Only to my parents, but they never listened to me anyway.
You say everyone liked her, but you didn't get along with your sister?
Well, I'm not the only one, but I tried to avoid her as much as possible. I started going to a different school a few months before she was killed.
Action.
I never wanted to see her again.
Can you describe what you mean when you say you're not the only one she had problems with? Action.
She was having problems with her boyfriend. She broke up with him before she died.
You're saying your sister was not as perfect as she appeared, that she may have had many enemies, including her own sister. The defense rests, Your Honor.
You may call your second witness, prosecutor.
The people call Kendall Marley, a renowned fingerprint examiner.
I do.
You examined the fingerprints on this phone, correct?
Yes.
Did you find any fingerprints that did not belong to Annabelle Stevens?
Yes, I did.
Whose fingerprints were they?
I identified the fingerprints of Elizabeth Stevens and Celine Kirsch.
So you found the fingerprints of the defendant, Celine Kirsch. Interesting.
Objection! Elizabeth Stevens' fingerprints were also found on the phone. Should she be negated from guilt?
They were sisters.
Sisters that didn't get along, Miss Polk. Annabelle would not give Elizabeth permission to touch any of her belongings.
Elizabeth could have touched her phone, even by accident, but why would Celine?
You could not know who she was around in the time before her death. Anyone in the auditorium, as frequently as the two of them, were bound to accidentally contact each other's belongings. Additionally, they shared many classes together.
Order in the court. Prosecutor, please proceed with questions.
Prosecution rests, Your Honor.
The defense may now question the witness.
Action.
Is there a method in practice to be able to determine the time at which the fingerprints were put on the phone?
No, not currently. Although latent fingerprints are easily damaged, so it could not have been an unreasonable length of time.
So if the victim had, say, used the school Wi-Fi in class several weeks ago and had asked Celine for assistance, and Celine had in fact touched the phone to assist her, the fingerprints could have lasted?
Yes, I suppose so.
The defense has no further questions, Your Honor.
Then proceed with your witness, Miss Hayes.
The defense calls Ryan Ireland to the stand.
I do.
Is it true you were in a romantic relationship with the victim?
Yes.
And is it true that that relationship ended?
Yes, she broke up with me on Wednesday.
When did you hear of Annabelle's death?
When my mom pulled up to the school on Friday morning, the parking lot was flooded with cops. They were all outside the theater door. No one was saying anything, but I walked by. I heard one of the cops saying something about the victim being identified. You couldn't possibly understand. I couldn't think straight.
How did you feel after she broke up with you?
Well, I mean, not great. I was pretty surprised.
Yes, and perhaps that surprise turned into anger. Annabelle broke up with Ryan on Wednesday night. She was found murdered on Thursday after school. He must have done it.
What? No, of course not. The love of my life is gone. I'm lost. I don't know what to do anymore. And you're blaming me?
Objection. This is all speculation. This has no basis.
Sustained. Defense, please stick to the facts.
Of course, Your Honor. We have no further questions.
Where were you the night of the murder?
I was at home, studying for a math test.
Witnesses report you being upset at school the week leading up to the murder. Can you explain this?
I failed my last math test. I need to get an A on the next one.
The defense calls Celine Kirsch the accused. I do. Can you tell me about your relationship with the victim? I didn't know her very well. But you did know who she was? Yes. How? Well, I was a part of the technical team in the drama program. Annabelle used the stage and the auditorium to practice for her performances. Sometimes we would run into each other. I see. It says on your school record that you were accused of having performance-enhancing drugs. Annabelle accused you of trying to sell them to her. They weren't mine. I caught her with them, and before I could tell anyone, she planted them in my bag and framed me. Why would she do that?
Action.
Because if I had told anyone, she would have been disqualified for the scholarships, and all of her accomplishments would have been taken. What did you do about this? Nothing. I was going to talk to Mr. Wells, but the morning I was going to, she was found dead. The defense rests, Your Honor. Celine is a victim, just like Annabelle.
Prosecution, you may cross-examine the witness.
Celine, what were the repercussions of you having been, as you say, framed?
I was cut from the drama department. My scholarship was taken.
And you say you did nothing?
Yes?
Celine, you're a good girl. Not just anyone gets into Ithaca, let alone with a scholarship of your caliber. And yet, given that, you say you did nothing?
That's correct.
Why then do the police have records of you being in the school at the time of the murder?
There aren't any cameras in the auditorium.
No, but there are records of your phone being connected to the school Wi-Fi.
I left my phone in my locker by mistake.
But you didn't. Phone records prove you made several texts later that night. Why were you there, Celine?
Oh, right. I was there to talk to her. I wanted her to admit that she framed me.
But she wasn't going to, was she?
No.
So in a rage, you grabbed the nearest weapon, a pair of scissors from her own bag, and killed her.
No!
We found the scissors in your locker with your fingerprints. There was trace evidence of Annabelle's blood on them.
But you don't understand. I'm in IB. That scumbag cost me my scholarship. Without the scholarship, I won't get into college. Without college, I won't get a job. Without a job, I'll end up on the streets. If I end up on the streets, I'll become a drug addict, just like her.
Celine Kirsch, in the case of Maryland versus Kirsch, the jury finds you guilty on all 3 charges.